All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are going to tackle a question that honestly affects every single one of us. How can you tell which websites to trust? It feels so subjective, right? But what if I told you there's a way to actually measure it? Let's dig it. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. You land on a new website. What's your immediate gut check? How do you decide, in that split second, if what you're about to read is legit or if it's just more noise? In this world of just endless information, we're all facing this challenge every single day. And that right there is the heart of the problem. Unlike an old school library or a bookstore, the web is this massive, completely unfiltered space. Anybody can publish anything, which is, amazing for free expression, but it also makes it unbelievably hard to tell the good stuff from the bad. So we're basically left swimming in this giant ocean of information, and the job of being the fact checker, well, that falls squarely on our shoulders. Without those traditional gatekeepers telling us what's what, we're kind of left to figure it out all on our own. Now, this quote really gets to the core of what the researchers were looking at. They point out that the web is missing what they call traditional authority indicators. All those things we used to rely on for centuries, like the stamp of a famous publisher or an author's name you already know and trust. Those are mostly gone online. So what do we do? How do we cope with this? Well, most of us have become these sort of amateur digital detectives, right? We piece together whatever clues we can find on the surface of a site to try and figure out if it's credible. And you know the drill. We look for clues, right? Does the website design look slick and professional? Was the content updated recently? Or is it from 2010? Is there an About Us page with actual contact info? These are all good, sensible checks, but at the end of the day, they're subjective. A really beautiful design can easily hide total junk, and a super simple-looking blog might have the most brilliant expert behind it. And this is where we get to the really cool idea at the heart of the research we're exploring today. What if there's a better, more objective way to measure trust? One that goes way beyond just surface appearances. What if the real answer isn't in what a website tells you about itself, but in what millions of us actually do when we visit it? This is a huge shift in how we think about this problem. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. The old way is judging by appearance, what the site says it is. But the new way, it's judging by behavior, looking at the anonymous collective actions of every user. It's really the difference between listening to a company's marketing pitch versus actually watching how the audience reacts to the product. Okay, so this sounds great in theory, but how do you actually make it practical? How can you quantify what people are doing online? Well, the researchers zeroed in on 4 key metrics that, when you put them together, tell a really powerful story about trust. First up is average time on website. It's so simple, it's brilliant. If you land on a page and find what you're looking for, something credible and engaging, you're probably going to stick around for a bit. If not, you're gone in a flash. So more time spent on a site often means more trust. Next, you've got pages per visit. Again, think about it. If you trust that first article you read, you might click a related link to learn more, right? You explore. That shows a much deeper level of engagement, and it's a big signal that you think the source is valuable. Then there's average daily visits. Now, this one isn't a perfect measure all by itself, but if a site is consistently getting a huge amount of traffic, it's a pretty strong indicator that it has established itself as a go-to authority on a certain topic. And finally, we have the bounce rate. This is kind of the opposite of engagement. It's when a user lands on a page and leaves almost instantly. We're talking under 10 seconds. It's a huge red flag that the content was irrelevant, low quality, or just plain untrustworthy. So, and this is the crucial part, this isn't just some abstract theory. The researchers actually went and built a tool called TNM. It stands for Trust Necessitated Through Metrics. It's a program that automatically goes out and pulls these 4 behavioral data points for any website you give it. And this is where it all comes together. They had a model and they had a tool, but the biggest question of all was still hanging out there. Does this thing actually work? Can you really measure trust with clicks and timers? So, to find out, they ran an experiment. They took a really common search query, balanced diet, and they fed the top 500 Google results into their TNM tool. The tool then went to work, crunched all the numbers, and gave each website a trust score. The result was this one single powerful number. They compared their tool's rankings to a system called Web of Trust, which is where millions of real people rate websites on safety and credibility. The correlation between the two, 0.87. Now, for anyone who knows statistics, that is an incredibly strong connection. This chart just shows it so clearly. The tool's automated, behavior-based scores lined up almost perfectly with the ratings given by millions of actual human beings. This pretty much proves that our collective digital body language, our clicks, our scrolls, how long we stay, it's a remarkably accurate way to measure trust.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this for you? Well, it means that every single time you stay on a page to finish an article or click through to a second page, you're casting this tiny anonymous vote of confidence. And when you add up all those millions of votes, they create a really powerful, objective way to measure what we, the users, actually find credible.
And that just leaves us with this one fascinating final thought to chew on. If the wisdom of the crowd, measured through all our online behavior, becomes the new editor of the internet, what does that change about the information we see, the ideas that spread, and maybe even the truths we all come to accept?